ordered the continuation of Wednesday's trading halt into today. Other financial instruments are being traded, including currency and interest rate futures. The Russian stock index has plunged about 54% this year, making it one of the worst performing markets in the world. Investor confidence has been hurt by the global credit crisis, the recent sharp decline in oil prices, and fallout from the Kremlin ordering troops into neighboring Georgia last month. Now we'll go to a word from our sponsors and come back with the rest of the news. Boy, that thing is scary.
Global warming. Some say irreversible consequences are 30 years away. 30 years? That won't affect me.
Together, New Yorkers can fight global warming, right now.
From prehistoric time to today, man's progress has been marked by his ability to fashion tools and use them to his advantage. From early humans making tools from stone, man evolved and was soon trading with other men. Money evolved, and tools such as the abacus to handle complex money transactions were developed. By the end of the 19th century, machines, such as the cash register, began to appear. 100 years later, we have even better computer-driven machines which track stock, change prices, and automatically reorder. Meanwhile, the reinsurance industry has failed to embrace man's drive for progress. The reinsurance industry today would be as familiar to practitioners from the 1800s as it is to modern underwriters. An underwriter or broker from 1800 would settle nicely into today's business. That is, until now. For the reinsurance industry, pivot point changes everything. Soon it will be understood that the period before pivot point was as dark as the caveman period was before the abacus. Come and see for yourself if you don't believe. After a demonstration,
Israel's foreign minister eked out a narrow victory this morning in a surprisingly tight race to replace Prime Minister Olmert as the head of the governing party. This puts her in a strong position to become the country's first female prime minister in 34 years. 50-year-old Tzipi Livni said she would immediately turn to the task of trying to cobble together a new government. She won 43% of the vote in a party election. Olmert is stepping down to battle multiple corruption allegations. He'll remain as the caretaker PM until Parliament approves a new cabinet. He will apparently resign at a cabinet meeting on Sunday. Livni will then have 6 weeks to form a coalition government. She would be the first female prime minister since Golda Meir stepped down in 1974. Livni is a lawyer and a former agent in the Israeli Mossad spy agency. She is eager to continue low-decibel diplomatic efforts with the Palestinians and with her Arab neighbors. She says she hopes diplomatic efforts to halt Iran's nuclear program will prevail, although she says that all options are on the table. In the United States, the Venezuelan-owned oil company Citgo pleaded guilty yesterday to violating environmental laws in a massive 2006 oil spill at its refinery in southwestern Louisiana. The spill shut 20 miles of the Calcasieu River, its ship channel, and 3 area lakes for weeks. The cleanup cost millions of dollars and involved thousands of workers. Citgo pleaded guilty to negligently failing to maintain stormwater tanks and failing to maintain adequate stormwater storage capacity at its refinery. The result was that some 53,000 barrels of oil were discharged into the rivers. The company must pay, according to the U.S. Justice Department, $13 million. It's the largest fine ever for a criminal misdemeanor violation of the Clean Water Act. The refinery is in Sulphur, Louisiana, about 20 miles from the Texas border. And in Arkansas yesterday, an official says a rocket motor exploded at a factory and caused a fire that killed a worker. It was a weapons factory. It occurred yesterday afternoon in the town of East Camden, Arkansas. The company that owns the factory is Aerojet. It's based in Sacramento, California. Aerojet has contracts with the Department of Defense. It makes guided missiles and space propulsion systems. Aerojet employs 500 people in the manufacture of weapons at its Arkansas plant. About 450 people were working when the blast occurred. And also yesterday there was a 5.2 earthquake in Iran. It cut electricity and caused panic on Iran's Qeshm Island in the Persian Gulf. No reports of injuries have been forthcoming yet. This is the second strong quake to hit the island in a week. On the 10th of September, as 6.0 killed 7 people. And finally, in the United States, when residents of several neighborhoods down near the Orlando International Airport go to bed, they wonder what most people who live in homes don't think about. Is there a bomb under my house? They recently learned that their 8-year-old housing developments were built on World War II era bombing ranges that were not thoroughly cleared. They're angry now, of course, with the developers and local government officials who residents say should not have permitted the homes to be built in the first place. There are hundreds of former bombing and artillery ranges throughout the U.S., but not many of them have 2,000 homes sitting on top of them. Here's the Orlando range in full action back in the 1940s. The people there so far have found more than 200 bombs and munitions. Some have weighed up to 23 pounds. Most of the bombs were recovered on the grounds of a middle school, including one lodged beneath the landing pit for the long jump. The Army Corps of Engineers said that it's extremely unlikely that any of the buried munitions would detonate, but that's done little to calm nerves. The value of the homes, which originally cost $200,000 to $600,000, has dropped by at least a third. Many of the rounds dropped by pilots during the training were dummies. However, the preponderance of the 200 or so bombs found to date in fact include live detonation and live ordnance. At a nearby Odyssey Middle School, a Corps contractor was injured when he disturbed the old munition under the jumping pit at the school's track. The item started to burn, but fortunately did not explode. This is not unusual in the U.S. A new subdivision in Arlington, Texas was built on an old bombing range in the early part of 2000. This spurred several lawsuits. The Corps' top priority right now is out in Spring Valley, which is a Washington, D.C. suburb, where residents live above ground polluted by World War I chemical weapons testing munitions. Newland Communities, the San Diego-based company that developed the affected areas in Orlando, declined to comment. So did other home builders in the area, Taylor Morrison and K. Hovnanian. Well, it's not as if you have enough to worry about. You have to worry about a 60-year-old bomb exploding underneath your house. One thing you don't have to worry about today, it seems, is the stock market. It's up about 60 points. If there's any other breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. In the meantime, thank you for watching.